Welcome back to Legal Frontiers, where we tackle the biggest shifts in law. Today, we're diving into Anthropic's Claudian AI model, making serious waves. Why is Claude suddenly the talk of every law firm break room?
Great opener! Claude's buzz comes from its ability to tackle tasks that used to require teams of paralegals think, contract review, legal argument drafting, and research. It's like having a junior associate who's read every case ever published, minus the coffee breaks.
So Claude's the ultimate multitasker, no more billable hours for skimming a 100-page lease?
Exactly. With Claude, that lease becomes a bite-sized summary in seconds. It's not just about speed, though. It's about making legal support more accessible and affordable. Still, we'll get into the tricky implications in a bit.
Let's start with contract analysis. Traditionally, reviewing a merger agreement could take days, sometimes weeks. How does Claude compress that workload?
Claude leverages natural language processing to highlight key risks, obligations, and unusual clauses almost instantly. Imagine a digital Sherlock Holmes spotting hidden terms lawyers might miss on a caffeine crash.
That's a vivid analogy, but can it really catch nuances like a seasoned attorney would? For example, industry-specific jargon or subtle loopholes.
Claude's trained on millions of legal docs, so it's adept at parsing lingo. However, it's only as good as its training data. Human oversight is still crucial. Think of Claude as the world's fastest first pass, not the final say.
Moving on legal argument generation. Can Claude really draft convincing arguments, or are we talking about glorified Mad Libs here?
It's surprisingly sophisticated. Claude analyzes precedent and statutes, then constructs arguments tailored to the case facts. For example, it might cite a 1996 ruling that supports your position, then weave in modern interpretations.
So, a lawyer's secret weapon for court briefs?
Potentially. Some firms already use AI-generated drafts as a starting point, saving hours. But creative legal reasoning still requires a human touch. Claude is more like a co-author than the mastermind.
Legal research, the notorious time sink of the profession. How is Claude transforming this drudgery?
Claude sifts through vast legal databases in seconds. Instead of scrolling through Westlaw for hours, you get a short list of relevant cases, statutes, and even obscure regulatory memos. Think of it as Google on legal steroids.
Does it ever miss the forest for the trees? Sometimes the context of a ruling matters more than a keyword match.
Absolutely, and that's a limitation. Claude excels at breadth, not always depth. It's a turbocharged research assistant, but the nuanced judgment of a seasoned litigator is still irreplaceable.
Let's talk efficiency. Law firms are notorious for slow turnaround and sky-high bills. How does AI like Claude change the game for clients?
By automating grunt work, Claude slashes turnaround times. Routine contract review that cost $50 might now cost $500. For small businesses, that's a game-changer. Legal help suddenly looks a lot less like a luxury.
Could this democratize legal services or just pad the profits of big law firms?
Ideally, both. But in practice, it's still early days. Some firms pass savings to clients, others pocket the margin. Market pressure and client demand will likely dictate the long-term balance.
Here's the elephant in the courtroom. Will AI make human lawyers obsolete? Should law students start learning to code instead of case law?
Not so fast. While Claude can handle repetitive tasks, high-stakes negotiation, courtroom advocacy, and client counseling remain deeply human. It's more about shifting job roles than mass layoffs. Think of it as legal Darwinism.
So, is the future of law less suits and more suits Jawan Silicon Valley?
Exactly. Tomorrow's lawyers will team up with AI, focusing on strategy, empathy, and creativity, the things machines still can't fake.
Let's tackle reliability. If Claude drafts a brief, how do we know it's correct? Legal mistakes can be costly.
Excellent point. AI can hallucinate meaning. It sometimes generates plausible sounding but false information. That's why law firms must rigorously vet every output. Picture Claude as a hyper-productive intern, helpful, but you'd better double-check their work.
Are there fail-safes, like built-in fact-checkers or confidence scores?
Some platforms now flag uncertain answers or cite sources. Still, ultimate responsibility stays with the human. Lawyer judges won't accept the AI made me do it as a defense.
Bias is a four-letter word in law. How do we ensure Claude doesn't perpetuate hidden prejudices from its training data?
It's a real risk if most training data comes from historical cases with bias. Claude can inherit those patterns. Developers now use bias detection algorithms and diversify training sets, but no system is perfect yet.
So, we need both technical fixes and vigilant oversight?
Absolutely. Think of it as a legal system with checks and balances. Human review, transparency, and ongoing audits are essential to keep AI fair.
As AI races ahead, are regulators keeping up? What's the current landscape for governing legal AI?
Regulation is lagging behind innovation. Some bar associations have issued guidelines on AI use, like mandatory disclosure if a brief is AI drafted. But comprehensive rules are scarce. It's a bit of a wild west right now.
If you were writing policy, what's the top priority? Transparency, liability, or something else?
Transparency is key, but liability is a close second. We need clear lines of accountability. If AI advice goes wrong, who's responsible? The developer, the lawyer, or both?
Looking ahead, how do you see Claude and similar AIs shaping the next decade of law?
Expect a hybrid model. AI handles the heavy lifting, while lawyers focus on judgment, negotiation, and client care. It's like the calculator revolution for accountants. No one went extinct, but the job evolved.
Any wild predictions? Robot judges, perhaps?
Maybe not full-on robot judges, but we could see AI-driven mediation or even basic legal advice apps. The real challenge will be adapting ethical frameworks and regulation to keep pace with the tech.